And thanks for the opportunity to speak with you all today. AUGMENTOR is an instructor-led and self-guided training platform enhanced by augmented reality. Unlike existing video conferencing tools and heads-up remote collaboration, AUGMENTOR's Classroom XR features supports enterprise-scale training as part of a See One, Do One, Teach One training process. So Design Interactive is a small woman-owned business located in Orlando in 1998. DI's developed augmented and virtual reality training solutions for the Department of Defense, government agencies such as NASA, Homeland Security, and industrial clients such as Chevron, Procter & Gamble, and Penske. And currently we are delivering an augmented reality medical training solution to the Army, an AR maintenance training solution to the Navy, and have various efforts with the Air Force. We've also partnered with Hitachi America to develop an extension to our AUGMENTOR product where artificial intelligence automates repair recommendations for ground vehicle maintenance enhanced by augmented reality instruction. AUGMENTOR is our flagship product. It was originally developed to train remote and distributed employees at large enterprises, and with the new feature Classroom XR, it has become ideal with the onset of the pandemic. The large enterprises with remote and distributed workforces share some of the same challenges. First, there's often a contingent of employees who are not familiar with nor adhere to standard procedures, and this drives lower compliance. Second, a high number of retirements exacerbated by high turnover decreases experience, resulting in lower first-time fix rates. And the third common challenge is the reliance on experts to travel and train frontline employees. In the best of times, this is expensive and with COVID, quite limited. In trucking and the automotive industries in particular, the pace of innovation is outstripping the ability to train. Imagine having 10,000 employees who require training on a new battery inspection method because you've purchased thousands of electric vehicle units for your fleet. It's a real problem. And lastly, it's tough to recruit the next generation to skilled trades, although these students are likely with phones in their pockets and have used augmented reality in some form or another. So this may be a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to introduce technology to your firm. Now, the pandemic has presented an opportunity for some firms because it's forced them to evaluate their current training technologies. For many companies, the pandemic all but eliminated live hands-on training. They canceled travel for employees, and expert instructors were limited in their ability to travel and provide on-site instruction. So firms looked inward to their video conferencing solutions, attempted to integrate webcams and GoPros to show live training, and found this difficult to do. This technology had supplemented hands-on training, and now it wasn't adequate. So the evaluation also revealed another truth, that firms would likely not return to normal operations, even post-COVID, not out of fear, but rather because they had a chance to evaluate their training operations. They wanted an effective solution that struck a balance between live hands-on training and remote video conferencing, but it had to work at scale and be effective. So enter AUGMENTOR. AUGMENTOR began as a self-guided procedural training instruction tool. An instructor expert could create content at the web and distribute to all employees at the click of a button. Those employees could download the procedure on mobile devices, iOS or Android, and if the instructor wanted to confirm a trainee understood instruction, they could use the See What I See solution. This allowed us to support the Do One, Teach One part of the training paradigm. The addition of Classroom XR extends AUGMENTOR to support the See One stage. So now an instructor hosts a training session and live streams to remote trainees. But unlike existing video conferencing solutions, we use a broadcast technology, which means we're more akin to Amazon Switch or YouTube than we are to Teams. And the client still gets the benefit of the full feature set. So after the class, a trainee then can download that same procedure on their phone or tablet and use it to refresh. And lastly, if the instructor wants, they can use the See What I See to have a trainee demonstrate that they've learned the skill. So let's take a look at Classroom XR, the opportunity it presents, and how it fits into a case study. So first, an instructor creates a procedure at our easy-to-use website. It contains a library of past procedures that you can copy, edit, and process, and the process of creation requires really no special skill set. If you can add an attachment to an email or create PowerPoint slides, you can create an AUGMENTOR procedure quite simply. Now, we made a point of lowering the barrier to entry for AR by enabling clients to reuse the training content or instruction they already had. So while you can add a hologram and base your training around that, most clients have limited to no access to those items. So the benefits of starting with what they already had is huge. Now, the instructor would schedule a session, and trainees within an organization can log in or they can be invited as guests. Now, this is perfect because if you have contract workers or are an original equipment manufacturer, that needs to train many firms at once, they can also participate. Now consider the case of our client SAF Holland, a manufacturer of air disc brakes, fifth wheels, trailer chassis, and more. They need to train technicians at all their fleet customers. So SAF can invite all customers to participate in the training, even though their customers may not have the Augmentor software. Now, the trainee joins the classroom from a web-accessible device, laptop or PC, and as they join, they're going to appear over here on the left side and watch the instructor's live stream happening here in the middle of the software. So you're now seeing a live stream from a HoloLens 2. The augmented reality menu allows an instructor to navigate between different steps in a procedure. They could also use voice commands. Each step is spatialized where the task is to be performed, and augmented reality content, which can include images, PDFs, videos, or even 3D holograms, can supplement the hands-on instruction. Now, during the lesson, the trainees can interact with the instructor through a chat feature. That is down here in the bottom right. They can ask a question, and that question is going to appear for the instructor, who can then respond in this window right here. Now, that window is only for the instructor, so it's only important that they see it. But as they see the question, how do I know that is a type A? They look at the brake pad and can explain exactly what they're seeing. So as mentioned previously, after the session, the trainees can then download the content that you've just seen on their phone or tablet, on an iOS or Android, if they're lucky enough, on their HoloLens as well, and follow through. Now, Augmentor, and specifically the Classroom XR feature, provide a unique opportunity as large firms can deploy augmented reality training at scale greater than Teams or Zoom with a very low barrier to entry. It's easy to use. If the instructor can attach a file to an email, as I've said, they can create a procedure. And since they can reuse the images, videos, and slides they already have, the time to create is low. We've successfully trained an instructor with no AR experience to create a procedure in less than an hour and load it onto a HoloLens. Some will ask, do I need a 3D model? And the answer is no. While many demonstrations for augmented reality show complex 3D models, clients are often fearful of not having that content. It may seem strange to some to hear that, but it is very common for some of even the largest firms to not have great access to models or employees to convert them to appropriate file formats. So Augmentor lets you keep it simple, from supporting just simply a live video stream to letting you add supplemental pictures for your instruction, all the way through bringing in full 3D models, possibly even animated, again, lowering the barrier to entry. Now, also, the instructor is the only person that requires a HoloLens. It is hard to justify the cost and resources to outfit an entire workforce with heads-up displays. We saw recently a release that Mercedes announced the use of HoloLens 2 in their maintenance facilities. Thought it was talked about today as well. And in the same article, distributing to all technicians in the training took upwards of 2 years. Now, most firms would struggle to justify such an endeavor. In our case, a firm can start with just one HoloLens and focusing on empowering their instructors only. Teach them first, yet still make an impact with the entire organization. So the frontline workers just need access to a PC or laptop to watch a stream, or a phone or tablet to access the procedure. Therefore, it makes it a nice fit for unionized environments. Frankly, frontline workers do not need a headset. There's no adverse impact on their safety in the field, and they don't have any greater time commitment than if they join a WebEx. So let's review how Augmentor has been used to save clients time and money. Now, during a visit with a large trucking fleet, we saw a wall lined with tires. You can see it over here on the right. Each tire had a different wear pattern on it, and these wear patterns are indicative of different root causes. These tires are kept for live hands-on training and for regional events. The fleet would ship these tires to a hotel or conference center, invite trainees from shops in the region, and spend 2 to 3 days training them. To train 7 to 10 trainees for a couple days cost this firm more than $15,000, and it was usually more than that many people. Now, this is a great candidate for remote instruction because the focus was on visual indications of wear and touch. Touch was of limited importance. So we created virtual samples of wear. The instructor used these as part of an instructor-led session and compared the virtual tires to a virtual tire against even a new product model. The trainees remained in their facility and accessed the session from their browser, no different than they would at WebEx or Teams. But we invited users at scale, significantly reducing the time to educate the entire workforce. So if you have hundreds of facilities or even 20, you can then educate more employees on more topics per unit time. Now, the client had no digital method to share how-to procedures rapidly at all to their workforce, and they could not ensure that all employees received the information, let alone used it. So after the classroom, self-guided procedures, about 10 to 15 minutes in length, were distributed. The main difference from the classroom module was that the inclusion of how-to videos. The videos were created by an original equipment manufacturer. So we've got the manufacturer creating videos for a customer, a fleet customer. So the fleet didn't have to create any new content themselves. So several technicians at one facility who had never performed the task before downloaded the content onto their device and reviewed it. After they reviewed it, they were asked to move over to another vehicle and perform the task. And as judged by the original equipment manufacturer, not by us, they were all 100% compliant to the procedure. So this demonstrated the value of the solution working as a suite. First, the classroom educated the employees. Secondly, the employees refreshed using the devices they already had. And we spent time training the instructors only, which significantly lowered the barrier to entry for this particular firm. Now, I've mentioned that point a few times, but it's at the heart of how we introduce augmented reality to industry. Sometimes I feel we live in this high-tech bubble, and we make assumptions about how ready some firms are for the technology. The reality is that there are finite resources. The workforce is aging, and those pose real problems. So our intent was to find a way to introduce AR to firms with a low cost of entry because it benefits all of us for more people to invest in and be using augmented virtual reality. So in conclusion, AUGMENTOR is an instructor-led and self-guided training platform enhanced by augmented reality. It supports the see one, do one, teach one approach to training. When used by an instructor or for instructor-led training, it can train at large scale. And when used as a suite, it helps firms rapidly disseminate information and improve compliance to procedures, reducing cost, significantly reducing current travel, and all with a limited hardware investment without losing the engagement that you expect in a training program. So thank you very much, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some questions here for you as I'll stop sharing that screen. Oops, sorry folks. And jump back to share my video. There we go. All right. So I appreciate it, and sorry that I was dealing with my bandwidth there, but wanted to make sure I didn't have any glitches. Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, feel free to stick around and share. Appreciate everyone. All right. I just put the web link for the product in the chat. And just as a clarification, our company is called Design Interactive. We have a website, designinteractive.net, but you can find more information specifically at the product site, which is goaugmentor.com. We also separately are on social media as Augmentor as well. Thanks, Chris, for posting that. What would be the main industries? We've targeted trucking, freight, and logistics first and foremost. We believe that it maps very nicely to those where you have a centralized training function and many employees scattered through remote facilities. So I would suggest, trucking, freight, logistics, automotive is like that. If you have a manufacturing footprint where you have many of the same equipment, it maps very well to that. In terms of Microsoft Guides, you can use Microsoft Guides and you can link that directly. These are separate, and it doesn't operate at the same scale. So our scale is ultimately to reach tens of thousands of people at once, at least in terms of the stability of the software. So if you're an organization that has, let's say, hundreds of facilities and thousands of employees and the ability to live stream to each of those, I can get a consistent message to all of them and have them immediately follow up on their mobile device without requiring you to use a HoloLens or separate applications to bring it all together. So one suite that brings it together and at much greater scale. The other thing that I would say is you have the opportunity to, by compared to Microsoft, is work with a company that specializes in training. Right. So as we move forward, not to reveal, the full roadmap, but specifically being able to measure trainee performance, linking that to a learning management system, or at least the most common learning management systems through an API, and allowing you to track things in your own devices or software that you already have is important to us. That is not necessarily something that Teams is going to get into because or Microsoft Guides, because they're trying to not necessarily target any one particular industry or use case. And we are specifically trying to improve the lot of training for industrial clients. So in terms of using the company's existing documentation, so a lot of companies rely on PowerPoint slides. PowerPoint slides can be exported as JPEGs or PDFs. When you do that, you are exporting those as either one big file or individual slides. We can simply add those to a procedure by clicking on a button, navigating to where those files are, or you just drag and drop them into the interface. So you can save your existing content in a format that we support, and we can bring it on over. You can also, if you have JPEGs, let's say schematic diagrams or other images, very common in technical manuals, you can bring those in and put them right into the software. Post-secondary education in the medical field. Well, let's start with post-secondary education. First, we are getting a lot of interest from technical schools, skilled trades, construction, automotive, heavy-duty technician training. So there's interest there. In terms of medical fields, we actually have a separate product under development specifically for medical, where we are teaching what we'll call combat casualty care or civilian casualty care, stop the bleed type training, hemorrhaging, things like that. It uses the same based software. We also have had interest from people who provide that specific topic as training as a service, where an instructor in a field with a mannequin would be able to live stream their training from a remote location to people all over an organization. So if you're a healthcare facility that has multiple employees at different locations, it supports that. If you represent the military at different bases, it would also support that use case. Let's see, 3D CAD models. We support an FBX CAD model conversion to our software. So we work with clients that have existing 3D CAD to get into the right format, get into an appropriate size, right number of polygons in order to bring it in. Mr. Pratt, I'd love to be able to take that one offline. I don't know if I feel too comfortable sharing pricing directly in this stream, but I'd happy to talk to you offline about that if you want to shoot me a note. Let's see. Hands-on. So we are starting from, there's many cost considerations, and there's certainly an ROI to be able to allow people, each with headsets, to provide hands-on training, potentially at the point of need. But not all organizations have the ability or the resources to provide each of those headsets. If we were working on the HoloLens price point, or on, let's say, a Vuzix or a RealWear type headset, you're to outfit one headset per shop, or let's say one per technician, we're talking anywhere from $100,000 of hardware up to well over multiple millions of dollars for the companies that we're talking with right now with our software. So having an instructor use the headset was the opportunity to get them started. So it's much easier to start an organization in their process of onboarding augmented reality, to train an instructor, use and leverage them as your champions, who are then using augmented reality to train others. Then you take the next step towards the do one, where people either could have head-mounted displays to be hands-free, or mobile devices to get started, because frankly, everybody knows how to use those devices. Then move into the remote collaboration, where we're now really integrating with an IT department. Josh, in terms of security limitations for defense environments, we do a lot of work for the defense as well, constantly communicating with them. We'd be able to talk a little bit about the security in the IT. We are often asked to fill out those security assessments for firms, but I don't have anything specific to tell you. AUGMENTOR working through an ATO agreement right now. Let's see, Lauren. It's about scale and having training specific features. So using Teams and having a HoloLens limits the ability to create the content that you want to share, and the scale to whom you can share it with. And once you've got that, then we start talking about our roadmap of measuring performance, integrating with your learning management system, and focusing on the specific training challenges that you have. So to give an example of someone in the trucking and the automotive industry, assume a recall or a technical service bulletin comes out for original equipment manufacturer, right? And so, you need to train, let's say, 1,000 or potentially 5,000 people on how to perform a specific thing. Teams wouldn't allow me to reach that audience. Then I want to follow up and make sure that they've all downloaded that procedure onto their mobile device, make sure that they've reviewed it and they're actually using it. So we then complete the suite. So that's how it takes something like Teams, which works really nicely with the HoloLens, but then increases and expands its reach, its scale, and then links with the full product suite in order to give them the actual experience. Yeah, Josh, it's crazy paperwork. Let's see. So we have Chris Dinsdale here. We do have live video collaboration on the mobile devices. We are going to be porting our broadcast technology over to mobile. And with that, we're also going to be including a heads-up version of it. We do support two-way video right now, but on the mobile devices. So that is existing, and we do have a roadmap to take that even further. Three-way calling, broadcast scale, where we can include multiple people, but we do offer that now. Yeah. Great. And I will say, Chris, that what we're not trying to be is we're not trying to necessarily go out there and compete with people who are building a product specifically for technical services departments. So right now, lots of folks in the industrial sector will have a technical service desk, a help desk, if you will, that receives phone calls all day. And there are some great companies out there that are integrating heads-up solutions directly with that software. We're just not trying to be that. We're trying to include the two-way communication for the purposes of basically upskilling the workforce, as opposed to the real-time troubleshooting. Although we can support it, we're gonna focus on the training aspect of that particular feature. Okay. Right. If anybody is interested in more information about some of the R&D that we do with the government, certainly take a look at our designinteractive.net website. There's a lot there about some of the things that we're working on. Like I said, we've been around since '98, doing a lot of R&D with all the different branches of the military, working on a lot of different things, at the moment and even previously. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Amelia, for the comment. Robert, we will run a trial demonstration to make sure that you get the best value out of it. We've done that for a period of weeks to a month or longer, depending on what the needs are. We will engage or have you directly engage our implementation engineer, who will, let's say you have a HoloLens 2 right now. He'll teach you how to create the content, deploy that to a HoloLens, and then instruct you on how to actually be a decent instructor with it. Maybe run a couple classrooms yourself so you can try it, and then based on that, help you make your decision. It's a common practice that we're doing, for most interested parties right now. If you don't have a HoloLens, sometimes we can provide one on loan, or we focus on some of the more web-based and mobile applications of the product. Well, I guess it might be a little early to explore India as a market. We would be more interested potentially in strategic partnerships to bring it over there. So maybe explore is the right word, but to actively sell starting tomorrow, probably not ready for that yet. But I would be interested in hearing more about what you're thinking there, sir. Can't ship it to India yet. I could probably walk it through the doors when I'm allowed to travel again and drop it off. That would be great. All right. I'm not sure if my email was on the presentation there, and it's gone now, but I'll leave you that. That's my direct contact if anybody wants to grab that and shoot me an email. I'm also on LinkedIn as Matthew Johnson, and the picture on LinkedIn, of course, you might be able to connect through this platform, is the same one that you're seeing here is my little profile picture. Yeah. We are not currently active in Europe. That does not mean that we cannot work with folks that are in Europe. We're working with companies right now that have a presence over there, but I would say that we are not active at the moment there, no. Thank you, Peter. Let's see if there's any other questions. Thank you. Trying to think here. All right. There were a couple of questions about being able to do two-way calling or remote collaboration. And like I said, it's not specifically, it's a feature that we have and we use it for training. We don't necessarily see that as being the long-term solution because we see ourselves focusing on training, not necessarily on integration with help desks. But I can share this. Oops, not that picture here. Let's see if I can do this here for you. Just jump back here to the PowerPoint real quick. Just to show you what that looks like. I did have it as a backup. So we certainly have the ability to create a contact list. We can see who's online and what device that they're on, and we can make a video call. Now, in this particular case, what you're going to see is an expert here is making a call on the left from their website, the Augmentor website, and calling somebody out in the field who happens to be under the hood of their car. Now, the purpose of this is to be able to allow the expert or the instructor to see what the trainee sees. Now, the use case here was I just taught you in a previous classroom all the different areas where, let's say there's fluid that has to be added or checked, and you need to tell me what fluids you're adding and how much, how to top it off, etc. So the person out in the field is walking through where each of those different fluids are. There's your brake fluid. Previously, we saw the washer bottle, the oil, and then they're able to see what each other is seeing. So just to confirm, we do have this feature, and this is for the purposes of being able to connect the expert or connect the instructor to the trainee in the field. So I thought I would just simply share that.